Alert. Alert. Here come the spoilers. Justin, watch out.
Okay.
Spoilers abound. We're talking about Spider-Man 2. If you have not taken a look on the podcast feed for this week, I guess if you have, you'll know what I'm trying to say is there's 2 episodes this week. This is our Spider-Man 2 spoiler cast where we're talking, giving our full in-depth review of the game now that we've both finished it, as well as talking about the story and all of its twists and turns. So if you don't want to hear that, don't listen to this episode. The rest of the episode, the news and Alan Wake 2 discussion and stuff like that is in the other episode on the feed for this week. This is for people who are interested in that spoiler discussion. This will be here whenever you finish the game, though. So no rush. Don't worry about it. Take your time with the game. I feel like there's such a push right now to just finish everything as soon as it comes out, and I get that because there are so many games coming out at any given time. But take your time. We'll be here when you get back. But Justin, I was gonna say it's Hitbox, but we already have the intro in the other episode.
It is Hitbox.
We already did that. I was gonna put the sound in. I was like, that's funny. I was like, that was funny. I'll put the sound in. Justin's never done the intro like that before, but then the song you just did is way better.
Oh.
way better. Funny.
Stop.
You included the spoilers thing in there.
Stop.
Anyway, Justin, I want to talk about Spider-Man with you. I finished it on Friday night. I got the platinum on Friday night, 25 minutes after I finished it.
Oh, I mean, that's a real close turnaround. So I finished this on Thursday night. And I did not get the platinum yet. And I think we had very different experiences on our way to beating the game. Because I pretty much at a certain point just mainlined it. If there's stuff on the way, to my next mission, I would, get a little bit distracted. But for the most part, I think the only time I really got sidetracked was clearing all of the symbiote nests, because it was a huge way to get unlock tokens right at the end of the game, or upgrade tokens right at the end of the game.
It's interesting. You do bring up a really good point with that. I think the way the story is told is a little weird, because I feel like at about the halfway mark, pretty much when Peter gets the suit, that's probably even before halfway, the events of the story feel pretty urgent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you have time in between things happening to go mess around in the open world. But to me, I'm like, well, he would go attend to this right away.
Immediately.
It's Harry just became Venom and destroyed your house. I would follow up on that immediately.
Well, first though, I gotta help find out who stole this neighborhood trumpet first. That's more important.
Oh yeah, well then I do love when it'll be I should fuck around for a little while.
Yeah, it's like telling you please just go around. There's a little bit more to do than just this. But I get it, because I think, how long have you played the game?
I actually don't know.
Yeah, I don't think I can check easily with that. But I don't feel like I played it very, very, very long. Obviously 15 hours maybe. But I didn't get that much into the side questy materials enough to get lost in it. Because I said in my initial preview of me playing it, I really enjoyed the story. I was kind of engrossed with where it was going from the very beginning. And then the end kind of there was a brief period where I was I know where this is going. And then at the very, very end, even though you kind of know where it's going, it's a good, satisfying ending to this story.
Yeah. No, I would definitely agree. I had some theories. I thought that, what's his name? What's the bad guy's name? Craven. Mm-hmm. I thought he was going to get the symbiote suit.
Yeah, because I thought the same thing, because I saw in some of the trailers the bulky Venom.
So he's so big.
Yeah.
Venom is so big. And then I was cutting together a video for work, and in one of the trailers there's a hand reaching down for the symbiote when Harry gets infected with it, or he puts it on. There's a hand reaching down for it, but it was a pretty
the
big
chonky hand, yeah,
in the trailer,
yeah.
And I was I was kind of disappointed because I hadn't gotten to that point yet, and I was oh damn. But then I was oh, it makes sense because he's sick. You know what I mean? And like all this sort of stuff. And he's like full like hate or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And so like I was like, oh, he wants the symbiote because he's sick and it's gonna heal him. And like they made a big deal out of it being able to heal people and stuff like that, you know? But I was surprised that it was Harry because it felt like this is gonna sound like it's a criticism, but it's not. Like it felt too obvious to go back to Harry, you know what I mean? But I think that like while it felt obvious, it was the thing that made the most sense.
Yeah, I think it did make sense, but I think this is where some of my criticisms with the story come in. I never really felt the turn from Peter getting the suit to the jealousy that Harry got. I wish we spent a little bit more time with that. Like I wish it was they had that one scene where Peter was there with Mary Jane and he kind of like goes after Harry a little bit, like verbally, once he already had the symbiote suit.
Is that like the day after when he like wakes up on the park bench?
Yeah. But I wish like that. For Harry, he just seemed to suddenly turn bad real quick. He goes from just being this goofy guy with a suit to all of a sudden being obsessed with it. And I get what they were doing because, as we learned with Peter, you still have part of the symbiote in you. So he still had part of that symbiote in him that was like kind of pushing him back to the suit. And seeing Peter had it was like making him a little bit jealous, I guess. But also like that's not what the symbiote does. It wants you all to be one. Like, so should it have been jealousy? Like, oh, what's going on with that?
Well, I also thought it's the sort of thing where it's like, you know, it's for the first time he was sick for so long, but like now he feels good and he can walk and he can do, you know, everything. And then he also kind of gets that taste of like, and I can kind of be a superhero.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he goes out with Peter to do whatever in like that factory, you know, with Tombstone and whatnot. Like having all of that taken away, not just the powers taken away, but then, you know, you can't walk, you know, and you're sick. I imagine that feels pretty bad, you know.
What's
that?
Would it make you feel bad enough to the second you get it back on, you just kill everyone?
No, but I also think that's like, doesn't the symbiote like amplify like negative emotion?
Well,
like the ring.
Yeah. But like it just that turn change. It just happened so quick. For me.
That's fair. That is very fair.
And it wasn't even the fact that I was mainlining it and I missed some like contextual moments as I'm swinging around like saving cats from trees and stuff like that. It just went from he got the suit back and immediately went into full bulky Venom. Like I thought it would have been much more interesting. Here I am, video game developer. Sorry, Insomniac. But during that scene where you're rampaging through the Oscorp, you slowly started to build yourself to be more and more evil and aggressive. Mm-hmm. And by the time you bursted out of there, you were like truly just a beast that went out for Kraven. Like, because it felt like you were just big Venom all of a sudden, and it didn't really give me that moment of like going from Harry to Venom.
Yeah, that does make sense. And I think that there might be an argument to say like, yeah, well, we already kind of got that with Peter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going from just like black suit to then like the secondary black suit that's all like veiny and gross.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and so we already sort of saw that a little bit, but I do know what you mean. That Venom scene though, like, damn. What a good, like, I kind of wanted to be able to like free roam as Venom at the end of the game. And I thought you could, cause I sort of thought I saw some spoilers. It's not spoilers. People figured out how to like
to break the
escape.
Game. Yeah.
But like that scene was so fun of just like being huge and just mowing guys down, especially like in contrast to like, yeah, you're powerful, you know, especially by the end of the game, but like you're not taking out, you know, guys in just one or two hits. You know what I mean? You're not that powerful. So that was just fantastic. And you're like jumping through all the glass and stuff, just real good stuff.
Well,
right
even
there.
like the Kraven fight, that really showed you how much stronger you were, because you had the first one when you were Peter fighting him. Mm-hmm. But then once you were like full out Venom, that's when it really started to feel like, oh shit, I got the power here. And you were like kind of just like taking him to town as you were attacking him.
Yeah. We were talking about like the violence in the game too. Like it was surprising that they had like a full on like beheading with like a bloody beheading, you know?
Well, and there's like Scorpion getting murdered like that. Like that was like a violent way for him to go. And it just felt like a lot of what Venom was doing to me was like exceptionally violent to a point where, again, I'm no prude, but it felt like borderline not rated for teen.
It's a sort of thing where like I sort of wish that this game was rated M, not so that it could be like I said this before we started recording, not like I don't want it to be The Last of Us in terms of like watching people get like blown to bits, but I do think that being able to go there a little bit more to show that Venom is more violent, or to show that the symbiote suit is making Peter more violent, I think could have been a little bit more impactful and powerful. Because as it stands right now in the game, like, yeah, the characters will comment like, Jesus, you know what I mean? Like when you're like throwing people through brick walls and whatever. But like, that's not like that different from what you're already sort of doing. You're kicking people off ledges and then like webbing them onto the side of the building. Like, how are they getting down? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
like you are already like doing some pretty significant violence to people. Those finishers, you're like dropping people from 10 feet off the ground and slamming them on their necks on concrete.
Right.
Like, that's not,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That's not any different than the Venom stuff. So I do think that like maybe making it a little bit more violent and like having the ability to do that sort of stuff. Again, not like, I don't want to see like horrific gore and whatever in a Spider-Man game. I don't think that would fit, but I do think that might be able to solidify those themes a little bit better. But
I also think their number one target is they want it to be T for teen, so it can like reach a broader audience, obviously.
And I don't think that that's the wrong move either. You know what I mean? I just think that that is the trouble with wanting to tell a story about someone who gets a little bit more violent while also having it be a fun Spider-Man thing, which is, I think, why it is exciting though that the Wolverine game is going to be M.
Yeah.
We know that for a fact. Of that can be a little bit more of a grisly, mature story that uses that hopefully appropriately. But
So the ESRB rating summary for Spider-Man 2 is: this is an action game in which players assume the roles of Peter Parker and Miles Morales / Spider-Man as they attempt to save New York City from a new threat. From a third-person perspective, players fight crime, swing around buildings, and engage in melee-style combat with enemies. Characters mostly punch, kick, and throw each other during fights. Central characters can use special symbiote-based and electricity-based attacks on enemies. Some enemies use pistols and or machine guns during combat. Gunshots sometimes result in small splashes of blood. Cutscenes depict further instances of violence and blood. A character choked to death, a dead body turned over, blood drops on a leaf. In some crime missions, characters can be seen trading unnamed drugs for weapons. Drug packages can be seen in a car trunk. The word prick and ass appear in the game.
Nothing about the beheading.
I know, like that part was so, like, to me, that was like the line, because that whole scene was just so intensely violent. Even the way, like, when Kraven and them were fighting, he's literally like fighting for his life, but also like wanting it to happen at the same time and like begging for him to do it.
He wants to be killed by something that's like worthy to kill him. And he finds it. And so he's like, kill me. You know?
Yeah, it's, I don't know. Again, this is not like a deal breaker for me or anything like that, but like, I think that scene, it was something that was like whispering in my head the whole time. And then basically see him cut his head off. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. I also like Venom eats people. He does.
People
he
eat people. I've seen it.
And I wanted him to eat more people. Because he'll like, when you take control of him, you can grab people and like maul them, but he spits them out. Like, swallow them, do it.
Yeah.
Do it, you cowards. I want this.
Oh, also, they mentioned nothing about getting your tongue cut off. That part was like personally disturbing.
Oh yeah, what
it was
Venom
and Kraven when they were fighting. He like takes his tongue and like takes the knife
and
to
he
it.
cuts, yeah, and then like grows back right away.
Ugh,
Yeah.
ugh.
I did like when the lizard's tail falls off and Pete's like, gross. And then it like grows back. He's like, ugh. What did you think of the story overall though? Because I really liked it, but my one problem was Miles. And it's not that I didn't like him in the story, because I think he's great. I really, really like the actor who's playing him, but I felt like he didn't have a lot to do for a long period of time. You know what I mean? Because they had to spend so long setting up the friendship between Harry and Peter that like every time it was like, and what's Miles up to? It's like, I'm finding trumpets. You know what I mean? Like you sort of mentioned that. And obviously like he comes into play a little bit more towards the end when he's got to fight Peter to get the suit off, you know, like all that stuff is great. But like up until that point, he didn't really have much to do with the story. And it got pointed out that the final boss of the game is Venom versus Miles. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be this big showdown they talk one time over the phone and that's it. I mean, they get introduced at the fair, but like they don't talk, you know. It's just like, oh hey, what's up, you know. And then like they talk over the phone and it's basically just like Harry like, is there anything I can do? And he's like, no, not really, bye, you know.
I think
so. Yeah, what's up?
I think it does just kind of become to be Miles is like the angel on Peter's shoulder. He's like the good conscience of him. But also, like, you do have the Lee stuff that happened, which I think to a certain degree does kind of work a little bit for character development, though I think it was pretty simplistic in terms of how they dealt with that.
I really did like that, but I guess my problem is, like, I think that stuff, I don't, obviously, like, I'm not a developer or whatever, but to me, it seemed like that stuff was all going on at the same time that Big Peter stuff was happening. But then in the beginning of the game, there was a lot of other Big Peter stuff that was happening, and Miles was just dicking around at school, you know, like helping people, ask people to prom or whatever, you know, just in a way that like it felt a little uneven.
And even like if you're really thinking about like what the base level of his arc is like getting to find out what to write about for your college letter.
I cannot believe that took so long. And also, and not to like harp on this, 500 words. Are you fucking kidding me?
Hey man, that's really brief. That's really brief. You want to get into college and you can't tell them you're Spider-Man. You try to write that letter.
I was talking to Elaine about this though too, because we had just watched Invincible as well. Where like there's always that question for me where I'm like, why do you like? I guess I understand why you would want to go to college because you do want to be like a regular person, but also like, why do you care? Like, you're Spider-Man, dude.
Yeah,
like go be Spider-Man.
But like you gotta get paid. We see how the bills
I guess that's true.
Pile up.
That is
we
true.
see how expensive a mortgage can be in New York and how much they have to pay every month for that because Aunt May was not good with her money. We've learned one thing, rest in peace, Aunt May, but you did not know you
know how to secure the bag.
No, you refinanced a few too many times and you actually left Peter with more debt than you gave him. So yeah, he had this property, but he had just basically your debt that he had to deal with. So I don't think you're such the good character that you were made out to be in the first game.
Yeah, she was a monster.
Yeah, just a horrifying monster.
Yeah,
she's going to be the villain in the next game.
In the third one. Yeah. Wasn't it cool when Venom spread wings? I thought that was fun.
Oh, yeah. Has that ever happened before in comics?
I'm sure. You know?
Yeah, I'm going to pretend it never did. Cool. And this is the first time. This is the very first time that ever happened. A cool, boss phase. Speaking of bosses, though, in general, what were your thoughts of the boss fights throughout the game?
I go either way. Some of they were they were okay. First of all, most of them gave me like crashes, so like that was always frustrating. I beat the lizard one after the second, like the final phase of it, which I thought was really tough. I beat it. I was really happy because it took me like 6 tries, and then it crashed, and I had to beat him again. They were okay. I think that like I would have appreciated one boss that made use of like the swinging. I feel like the game very underutilized the swinging stuff, which is a little disappointing because those mechanics are just so good and they feel so right that like I just felt like there should have been more with that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think my overall take of the boss fights is the thing that I think pissed me off the most frequently with them was the multiple phases of them. And I think the lizard fight was like kind of like a joke because how many phases were in that boss fight? It felt like a million.
Yeah,
like it just kept
it was
going.
Like 2. It was like 2
going.
at the start, and then you had the intermission where you chase him, and then there was like 2 more.
Yeah.
You could see, by the way, in the top left of the boss health bar how many phases there were.
Oh, really? Oh.
There were like boxes, and so like each time you kill one, you take them down, like a box disappears.
Was the lizard just like a dandelion? Like there's a million.
It was just an infinity sign.
It just kept going.
Yeah.
But I thought the bosses were cool enough. But like a boss like one that does take care of the swinging mechanics, the Sandman one, it was so early in the game it felt kind of inconsequential in terms of like using those mechanics because it was just basically like essentially a button mashing section, more or less. You're swinging towards it, dodging something. Once you get close enough, grab in.
It was more of a set piece than like a real boss fight. But, you know, like, I don't necessarily mind if it had more set piece boss fight. I think people would have complained because people always complain. But like I think that a tasteful set piece boss fight could have been cooler to use the web swinging stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, even like the lizard part when you're swinging past him in like its 8th phase, like you're swinging by it and you're just like going through the city. It's just like you're following it someplace. You're not doing anything once you get close to it. You're just going there. So it didn't really give me that.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't there so like when in the first game, don't you fight like the vulture and like the shocker at the same time?
Yeah,
you got to swing to attack the vulture. I think something like that would have been cool, but also like not a deal breaker for me necessarily. Like I still think it's good. If you are interested in the story stuff though, like it might be worth doing a lot of the open world stuff, like collectathon things, because there are story beats at the end of every single one of those. Did you do the flame side quest?
That's the one I have not done yet, but I hear that's a pretty meaty one, if I'm correct.
That is a very meaty one, and it is quite good in terms of like where it goes and what the story with that all is. Also, I think all of the mile side quests are fun because like they're just like interesting enough, and any of the friendly neighborhood like app side quests are all also like really nice story, like mostly story driven stuff. Did you do any of that or no?
I did most of those. I mean, there's a couple I think that are like we talked about earlier. The grandpa one, like a sweet moment. And the other one that I think was like a moment was what's the name of the pigeon guy?
Howard.
The Howard one.
Was he in the first one? I did not remember him.
Yeah, that was like a whole sub quest. You had to like capture the pigeons throughout the city.
I do.
And like
fly after them
them.
or swing after
them.
them?
Yeah. So that was like a whole thing. So the second he comes back, I'm like, motherfucker, we're doing this again. But no. Then
did you do that quest?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's like a lot of all the side quests have that like sweet moment. There's a really good one too, as where you play as Haley, the girl Miles likes. Did you do that one as well?
Yeah.
And I thought that one was just pretty cool with the way that all the sound cuts out, and it was an interesting take and not like something I've ever really done before, in a game, which I thought was kind of cool. Yeah, but even like the collectathon ones, like the spider bugs, that was like the most annoying one, the spider beetle or spider bot one, because it's literally just like go find them and hit triangle, you know what I mean? But there is an interesting story beat that happens at the very end of it, which I won't spoil for you if you're interested, but if you can't be bothered to do it, I'd still look it up. Or even the I'm forgetting the name of them, the drones, like the metallic birds. Did you do that at all?
That's not I didn't do all those ones. I thought you were talking about the bee ones.
Oh no, those ones are well, that one also has an interesting resolution because it has a resolution to the story with Harry. And you get probably the ugliest suit in the entire game from doing it.
Nice. The beekeeper suit?
No, but it looks... it must be seen to be believed. It's like a Spider-Man like space suit, but it just looks like trash. But the like robotic drone side quest actually is pretty interesting as well because of how it ends. And a lot of them have endings that are really ambiguous that also sort of hint where they might go in future games or DLC or something like that. So it's worth seeing, in my opinion, at the very least. So if you can't be bothered, I would say just at least look it up, but I do think it's pretty cool.
Is there really a Spider-Man villain called the Beekeeper?
I have no idea.
Yeah, oh my God.
Is that what you're saying?
I hope not. WandaVision's Beekeeper. Oh, no, it's the character from WandaVision, but there is this guy. He looks like, let me see here. Swarm. His name is Swarm.
Sure, I believe it.
Fritz von Meyer is a supervillain appearing in the American comic book published by Marvel Comics. The character's entire body is composed of bees and mainly featured as an enemy of Spider-Man. So is this Swarm suit, the suit that you get at the end of that bee killing mission?
It is not, but I wish it was. Do you think that we're going to get in Spider-Man 3 Morbius?
Oh, I hope not.
I feel like it's not out of the question for that to happen. Not like as a joke necessarily, but just like to throw him in there because he's a Spider-Man villain, you know.
Yeah, you'll be like just swinging around the buildings, and you'll go to like grab a ledge, and all of a sudden Morbius will like pop up and try to scare you, and then fly away, and then
like,
you have to chase after him.
Bat.
Yeah,
that seems interesting, right? I'd be down to try that. I just thought that I think that one of the reasons what made all that side quest stuff so interesting is that the stories were so compelling, and then even the collecting stuff, where like the hunter dens or the symbiote nests and stuff like that, those also had little pieces of story and lore that when you completed, you were usually awarded some sort of interesting story. Like, did you do the Mysterio things?
I got far enough to realize, wait a second, that's Bode from Jedi Survivors.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's why he looks so familiar.
Yeah, I was like, are you a person I know?
That's
like,
so funny.
Who are you? And then it was like my third or fourth one, and then he's like literally like he shows up again. I was like, wait a second.
That is so funny.
So spoiler alert for another game. He likes playing bad guys. You know what I did there?
But here's a spoiler alert for Spider-Man. Does he?
But is he a bad guy in Survivors? Oh.
But is he a bad guy in Spider-Man? Interesting. Maybe if you finish the quest, you know, Justin. I know.
Okay.
It's a really good quest line.
Do you have to like get all the things in that to platinum the game?
You just have to do them all.
So you don't have to
gold them.
Okay, because that would ruin it for me.
Yeah, no. You just have to, like, the platinum was honestly like pretty simple. There was like a lot of stuff like similar to remember when we talked about like the Horizon Forbidden West platinum, where there was so much left undone, you know what I mean? That was kind of like I didn't see the whole game. You know what I mean? There was like a lot of that stuff with this game. Like there's like a statue of Stan Lee in there somewhere. Didn't know about that until after. Or like you can go to the Wakandan embassy and you can do the Wakanda forever, like the salute thing as Miles, which is just cool. Which like I did because I wanted to see it because I thought it was kind of interesting. But like I feel like there should be a trophy associated with that. You know what I mean? For some of those like interactable Easter eggs and stuff like that. Because there are for some, like if you go to visit Aunt May's grave as Pete, like he's got like a line to say, about whatever, but I don't know.
I personally, and this might just be a me thing, I think the pacing is messed up between the main story and the side quests. I don't know what I don't know what the ideal way to do it would be, because I feel like once I've beaten the main story, going back, it just feels like so light in consequences.
Well, I did like I didn't want to play as Peter after the story was done because I was like, he's done.
Yeah.
I think that this game had an issue with wanting to tell a linear narrative, but also had to be an open world Spider-Man game.
Yeah. And
like my suggestion is not, well, don't make an open world Spider-Man game because I like that stuff a lot. But like, I don't know. I don't make games. There has to be a happy medium there. Right? You know what I mean? Where like Miles gets kidnapped for like an hour and a half. Like, so you can't just be swinging around all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't know what the solution there is, but like it felt like they wanted to tell a much more like concise story that like happened beat for beat. And so that if you were going to take the time to go do the open world stuff, you're right, the pacing would be off. Because I mean, I do think that the pacing of the story is a little weird. Like it feels like it's like wrapped up for the most part. Obviously not when like it feels like it's getting wrapped up pretty well. And then it goes on for another like 10 hours.
Yeah.
It feels.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I also thought it was funny when like the whole game, like I was expecting there to be moments when it's like, you're going to have to like play this for a while. And then like at the very end of the game, it's like, well, now this is your last chance to upgrade. And I'm like, the world is destroyed. Like at this point, like it just feels like there should have been more moments where that was like, this is going to change the game at this point.
And that's the other thing too, right? Like at a certain point, it just gets so comically, like the world gets so comically demolished that it's like they would go see to this immediately.
Yeah.
Like immediately, they would not be messing around. You know what I mean? I got a question for you. What did you think of the Mary Jane missions this time around?
I felt like they came at better points of the game for the most part.
Agreed.
What was the one? The sleepwalking one. I don't know if is that the second one you do with Mary Jane?
Yeah, I think so. It's great.
Yeah, like that makes a lot of sense with like what the story is. Like you don't quite get what's happening with Peter. Like it's a really weird moment. She's already like a little bit afraid of him, but then you get to that moment and then you're experiencing Spider-Man with these symbiote powers as Mary Jane, and it felt so like tense at that moment that it was just kind of like, whoa, like it just felt a little spooky and scary, like seeing Spider-Man like that. Because as you're playing the game, obviously you hear all the podcasts and news reporters saying how, oh, Spider-Man got a new suit. It's a little scary. J. Jonah Jameson's like, oh, he's bad out there. I'm telling you, he's bad out there. But you're like, you don't feel bad because you're still Spider-Man, even though you are playing Dickie Spider-Man. But like to be Mary Jane, it changed that whole scene for me. The first one you did with her was a little stupid. The one in the zoo
with the lizard.
Yeah. It was fine. Like there's nothing wrong with it, but it just felt like gameplay. Like I didn't need to do it. It took me back.
Yeah.
It was like going from, and I said this when we played Last of Us 2. It was like going from Last of Us 2 and immediately playing Plague Tale. Like I understand Plague Tale can be a good game, but when you've gone from like the best like stealth horror game to one that is like good but like not The Last of Us, it just felt not good.
It's the sort of thing where like I've seen a lot of people just like mad about it because like I know that a lot of people were like upset about playing as Miles and Mary Jane in the first one. I feel like they like did improve it. Like it's a lot more active now. You know what I mean? The fact that like it's an actual stealth thing. It's not just to get spotted and you're done sort of ordeal. And you know, there's not that many. There's only the 3 of them, and I do think the pacing of them, I think is okay because like you're saying, like there's the sleepwalking mission which I think is great, and then I thought the mission where she gets a fucking gun in the symbiote nest is fun because it also was like 3 minutes long. You know what I mean? It was like not like that long. And yeah, the zoo one was kind of silly, but also like I don't care. Like variety, there's some variety in there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like I understand pacing that you need to break things up a little bit.
The moments didn't drag like they did in the first game. Like I felt like those moments are really slow. But like one of the like tension building thing for me, like the third time you are her, it really doesn't make sense. I mean, she is like literally going in the middle of the symbiote nest with no protection other than a gun that her boyfriend made for her. Like I felt like it's like you're putting her in a bad position, not because like, oh, you don't want to make her part of the group. No, you can be shot and be fine. She cannot be shot and she will not be okay.
It was weird because it's like just have Miles get it.
Yeah.
Miles is like really fast, and he can't get infected by the symbiote because he's got the Venom Strike stuff.
So
like, just have him go grab it. Like it's fine.
And there's such like cool stuff that she could do, and they like did it in the cutscene too, like with the motorcycle, how she like actually like did that like cool like drive into the lab that they were doing and like crash through it. Like there was still cool stuff for her to do with her skill set. It just felt like at the end there, it just all of a sudden she was in such a compromised position that just didn't make sense. I mean, Peter and Miles are getting beat to a pulp, and then she just is. So she's cool. Doesn't she get thrown at one point, or am I crazy?
I bet. Yeah, that's one of her character traits.
Yeah.
This kid's just tossed aside.
But I think it's better than any other game, and I don't have a huge issue with it or anything like that. And I think there's actually a moment that I really enjoyed with her as being a playable character.
You're talking about the sleepwalking thing?
Yeah.
And I thought it was cool too. Like those sections, at least to me, seemed pretty open ended. About like there were a few different paths I could have gone on. You know what I mean?
And they weren't instant fail. Like that's the huge thing.
Yes, exactly. Like you get caught, and then you can run up and like zap them or use the web shooter to stick them onto a car.
Like 2004 like stealth games, you just go around a medium until they forget you're there.
Yeah, exactly. Easy. Just like, whoop, must have been the wind.
Oh man,
like,
you just saw me.
I'm trying to think here. I really did like this one. Yeah. I don't know if it's yeah. What's up?
I was gonna say I think another story beat for me that didn't hit as well because Spider-Man did it better. The movie with what's his face, Little Crybaby, Tobey Maguire, the Tobey Maguire
Tobey Maguire?
Spider-Man. The turn of what's Harry's dad's name? Norman. His turn to hating Spider-Man at the end just didn't play for me the right way.
Agreed. Because it was like he tells him
He saved him.
Save his life. He's like, save his life. When Doc Ock is like, when Dr. Connors is like, you gotta fucking kill him.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he comes in and he's like, please go save him. And then, like, if I were Spider-Man, I would have responded when he's like, "You've ruined him." I'd be like, "He's literally alive because of me."
Yeah, without me and his like special electric powers, he'd be dead. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Literally be dead.
Like,
yes.
and so like his anger and his kind of obsession, like I get where like all the pieces are there that make sense. It just that turn just didn't make sense for me enough. And even him
1,000%.
going more crazy. Am I correct in saying that he had the symbiote on him? At the beginning?
At the beginning, yeah, he like had it on him and then he gave it to Harry. I didn't know.
So
no idea.
But it happened. So I guess we'll find out in game 3. And then what did you think of Cindy?
Who?
At the end?
Oh,
the post-credit scene?
Silk.
Silk, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's exciting. Did you listen to the Kind of Funny spoiler cast for this?
Mm-mm.
They have like the directors of these big PlayStation exclusives come on and talk spoilers with them. And the one for this, I really like the God of War Ragnarok one that they did.
Yeah, me too.
The one for this was pretty great. They had the director come on and they talked about how like it was very exciting to see her as opposed to like Gwen. Not because Gwen isn't cool, but like we've seen Gwen so much in so many different things. And he said something about like, yeah, like, you know, for us, it's about like trying to figure out like when to do something that is known and when to do something that is kind of a little ground on tread, you know, or if we are going to do something known, how do we make it our own? So like Harry being the symbiote, that's unique.
Yeah.
MJ being Scream, that's unique. You know what I mean? So I don't really know much about Silk, to be entirely honest with you, as a character, but I imagine that we're going to get something with her of being a spider person. You know what I mean? So that's cool.
Interesting little twist at the end. And then,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the Norman stuff is going to be interesting. Obviously, they're heading towards Green Goblin as our next villain.
Yeah, I wonder what exactly they're gonna do, because like they did do Sinister Six already in the first game. You know what I mean? So like, I'm just curious where that's gonna go.
Well, they need a couple more after we lost a few.
I guess so. You can get Morbius in there.
He could be one of the Sinister Six.
I did appreciate though that like Kraven killed them. Like dead, you know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, they're just, you know, I don't know. I feel like people don't die very often, like in games like these. Like the status quo just needs to be so, like, maintained. You know what I mean? So like when he stabbed Scorpion, I was like, ah, dang. But then someone on the phone was like, Scorpion's fucking dead. And then like MJ finds, I found like the not Falcon. Who's the bird man?
The Hawks.
Eagle.
What's
his name?
Vulture.
There's so many bird-based superheroes. You find the Vulture's like wings or something like that, and MJ's like, oh my gosh, he killed them, and apparently he killed like the Shocker too. And there's an Easter egg that you could find the Rhino.
Oh yeah, like on a mount. That's fucked up.
Yeah. So like I don't know, like I appreciate that because I just mean to me that has stakes, you know. So I got a question for you, if it's okay. I want to do this or that with PlayStation, with PS5 games.
Sure,
PS5 exclusives.
Look at this little fun little game.
I know. Usually you're the one to suggest
this to me. This gets me all excited. I'm gonna break the internet with my takes.
So because all right. I'm just gonna go down the list here, and it's gonna be Spider-Man 2 or Astro's Playroom.
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, Astro's Playroom is like a fun little game, but it ain't no.
No, these are this is to say nothing about the quality of these games. I'm just asking like
Spider-Man 2.
Off the top of your head, this or that. Demon Souls.
Spider-Man 2.
Agreed. Destruction All-Stars.
Ooh. That's like the medium of racing Destruction Derby games. No, Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, here's a hard one for you. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
That is a tough one. I might lean towards Ratchet and Clank for me because I think I enjoyed playing that game significantly more, and the story was good enough. Because I don't think I talked about one of my major criticisms is that every time I had to like fight, I was like disappointed, and not because in Spider-Man, not because like the fighting or the combat is bad. It just felt like clear these 3 rooms to get the next bit of story instead of it just being like something I'd actually enjoyed to do.
Yeah, no, that's
so
fair.
that's why I think Rift Apart, because I enjoyed the playing better.
Sure, I would pick Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2 or Returnal.
This one is breaking myself a little bit more. I think with the kind of games I enjoy, it would be Spider-Man 2, but it's close.
Yeah, I would agree. Sorry, I would disagree. I would say Returnal for me, but that's just because of like the type of stuff that really resonates with me. Obviously, Spider-Man 2 really resonated with me, but like I think about Returnal like
yeah. Is it close? Is it close for you, or is it just not close at all?
Yeah. Because I was like, the reason I'm asking like even doing this in the first place is because I was like gonna say like, is this wrong for me to say? I think you don't agree with me, but like, is this the best PlayStation 5 game?
I mean,
and we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
I mean, for you, no, Ratchet and Clank, right? For me, no, Returnal. But I just want to keep going down. I didn't play this, but Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade.
No, I mean I played Final Fantasy VII, but like it's okay, like I mean that doesn't count. Final Fantasy VII.
Okay. Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 1 remastered.
Oh, Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, agreed. Ghostwire Tokyo.
Ghostwire Tokyo. That is technically exclusive.
I
thought you could.
I don't know if it's on Xbox yet, but it will be on Xbox eventually. But that was an exclusive when it launched.
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, agreed. What were you gonna say about the first one?
For the first Spider-Man, I like it's good for me. I like it a lot. And I think I was less annoyed with some of the stuff the first time playing it because it was just so new to me. Like even the combat I was fine with in that first one. But I think this one, just as we said, just everything was better in Spider-Man 2. Even the bad parts were better.
I would definitely agree. Let's see here. Last of Us Part 1, I would say it's tough because I'm like, if I never played Last of Us before, it'd be Last of Us, but
I can't get over the Last of Us Part 1 counting as like an exclusive. It
doesn't count. It doesn't count.
Like
right.
it might technically, according to OpenCritic accounts, but like it's really hard to put those two games next to each other.
Because also just like the context of what Last of Us is. I like if I had to say, I would say Last of Us 1, obviously, just because like in terms of that is a game that I think about a lot, but I don't think specifically about Part 1. I think about, you know what I mean? Like I think about the story that I've known for fucking ever.
Yeah.
Forspoken or Spider-Man 2.
It's definitely Forspoken.
Final Fantasy 16.
I think my criticisms of combat are worse in Final Fantasy 16. Are more pronounced with how I feel like playing the game sometimes gets away from the story. Even the side quests are essentially just go here, do this, and you don't need it to do that kind of stuff, and it just feels empty. I feel like the side quests in this ones aren't empty. They feel out of place to me, but they're not empty. So Spider-Man 2.
I would say Spider-Man 2 with the bullet. Yeah,
I
didn't really like 16. Did you finish it?
No, that's on my list for the end of the year. But I tried playing it recently, and I was like, I've lost my touch.
No, hey, no way.
Yeah.
Let me just say that.
Yeah.
No way. God of War Ragnarok. I would say Spider-Man 2.
God of War Ragnarok.
I think God of War Ragnarok delivers a better story, but like I think about like, we mentioned this, right? Like the fact that you have to walk everywhere. And like the fact that it is so like like slow. Do you know what I mean? Like the story moments are really great and like the character moments are really great, but the fact that like you got to walk through this forest to get to where the fuck you want to be. You know what I mean? And it's just like it's very like it can be a little tedious in my opinion.
I think on a traversal standpoint, obviously, I don't think there's many games that I enjoy traversing more than Spider-Man.
Right.
But I think the story, the production value, the combat, the upgrade trees, the side quests, I think all of that are just stronger to me as a whole package in God of War. Like I don't remember there's many times where I like stood up and like clapped and said, "Let's go" in Spider-Man 2. And
that is fair.
And there's
as
still
like when they like storm.
Oh my God, Asgard! Like that is just
Asgard
like that is just one of the best
horn.
moments. That whole fight scene that happens, it's still one of my just favorite moments. Is right when he's taken on fucking the Thor.
Odin?
No, Thor. Like right before he does that thing, and he basically like is like, "You take care of this," and he like is like in middle, he sees him coming and runs to him. They have that big fight right before you get to the final thing. It's just such an awesome scene.
Or when Odin, when they put Odin's soul in the rock, and then the dwarf comes over and just smashes it.
And boy, did that guy looks pissed the fuck off. And like
yeah.
And even like talking about after the game, after the game, there's so much more that you can do that it just feels like it completes that game. So going back to my platinum run just actually felt like I needed to do it to actually get the main story in a way that actually...
Yeah, that's fair.
Granted, the same thing happens in Spider-Man with like the hunter dens and stuff like that. Like you get more about Kraven and that backstory. You get more about Sandman and stuff like that. But it just feels more consequential in God of War Ragnarok. God, that game is good.
Yeah, I did get goosebumps thinking about... what's his name? What's the dwarf?
Sindri?
Sindri,
Yeah.
yes.
Brock's
Brock and Sindri.
Brock's death.
Yeah, it's so good with Odin. Like, you kill one of mine, I'll kill one of yours. Because who did they kill? Who did they kill at the beginning that made him mad? Or was it about his Baldur?
Was it Baldur still? It might have been.
I don't think so. At that point, I think like they were over it.
We can never be over that. I mean...
Heimdall.
Can't feel. Oh yeah, Heimdall. Yeah, but he was a
Heimdall.
dick.
Anyway.
He was a dick.
He was such a fucking dick. Yeah. This Spider-Man 2 or Horizon Forbidden West? Spider-Man, easy.
Horizon.
Really?
Yeah. Because I think I enjoyed the moment-to-moment combat better, and then once you beat the game, actually getting that like ability to fly on birds and stuff like that was actually pretty enjoyable. Cool. Story is better in Spider-Man. Combat for me is better in Horizon. Just general world exploration is better in Horizon. And I know you said that was a negative, how you didn't have to see everything to Platinum Forbidden West. To me, that's great. Like, if I want to go back, I can be fulfilled. But I think one of the things that Horizon does so well is it allows you to power up as much or as little as you want. And that's why they just have upgrade points like everywhere on the map that you can just kind of fill it out as you go. And I mean,
I did like that about Horizon though, because it meant I didn't have to play.
They also have a town called fucking Chain Scrape, which is like, man, that is a name.
And then last one here, Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, agreed. Miles Morales was really good, but Spider-Man 2 is where it's at.
I appreciated Miles Morales' brevity of their story.
Yes.
And I also appreciate it in a different way because I played that on PS5. Like that was like the first PS5
like the first
thing.
one. Yeah, me too.
Actual thing I did on it. So like that has like a special like nostalgic thing in my heart. But I mean, Spider-Man, you got a fucking wingsuit in Spider-Man 2. Like how do you beat that?
I'll be excited to see like what they do for traversal in Spider-Man 3 when that eventually comes. Or I wonder if we'll get like Spider-Man : Silk. You know what I mean? Like
to introduce her. I think that's
I
wonder
if we're gonna get like like just as a sort of like intermission, sort of like in between games.
Yeah.
Like I thought Miles Morales, like having that be sort of in between games, was like a fantastic way to bridge the gap between the bigger titles. You know what I mean? And so that we didn't have to spend the time like during the actual game like getting to know Miles, like this version of Miles.
Oh
like,
man, it would have been horrible if we gave Miles something of consequence to do in this game.
I guess, but then it would like to me if he had just been introduced as Spider-Man at the beginning of this game, I would be surprised. Like I wouldn't necessarily like understand and feel like totally like fine with him being as powerful as Peter, or like because like it feels like at the end of this game, like he's Spider-Man now. And you know, like not that Peter's retired forever, but that he's just like you be Peter Parker. I'll do Spider-Man stuff. I got this.
You know what this game needed with Harry?
What's that?
It needed a pie scene with Miles.
So good.
Like, but if they had Harry being like that to Miles,
being a dick to Miles. Yeah.
And then Miles got actually more frustrated to a point where you've already kind of a little unsure about where he is mentally because of Lee. And then he starts to get a little angry at Peter. And then they have this big this big civil war fight.
That would actually be good too, because like, you know, there are all these moments where like Peter kind of blows Miles off.
Yeah.
Where he's like, hey, what's going on? He's like, I'll tell you about it later. I'll call you later. Bye. And Miles is like, oh, fuck. All right, man, I guess. I guess I'll talk to you whenever.
All you would need is to have like Harry send a little text message and you just see the look of
over the shoulder. In the pie. Yeah, anyway, I think that's going to do it for our spoiler cast here of Spider-Man 2. I imagine we'll probably talk about this game a little bit more, especially in December when we start talking Game of the Year stuff. Because I don't know about you, as stacked as this year is, I think this is on my list of top 10.
I think it's going to be on my list.
I imagine it'll be significantly lower for you, but I
don't know about that.
I do see this being...
It's number one. It's the best game I played this year.
Is that true?
No.
Oh, I was like,
everything you said.
But so there you go. Thank you so much for listening. Join our Discord. Link to that is in the description of this episode. Thanks to our Patreon supporters, our deluxe podcast producers, Jay Knoll, Dave Parker, and GKS. You can join their ranks at patreon.com/hitboxpod if you're interested in that. You can also follow us on Twitter at hitboxpod and rank this episode in your podcast player of choice. Thank you so much. We will catch you next week. Justin, always remember, old games are old. Bye.
Bye.
Thwip.
Love is all you need.